Paul Biya is a Pan-Africanist who does not talk. He acts instead. And that's where the problem.
We've been saying these things severally. Religion and this democracy thing is a big problem. More people are dying through democracy even than any other thing. But we do not care about it. Why?
I am sure you pose that question that I should attempt an answer.
Yeah, put that to answer, yes.
Okay, once more, Trini, it's a wonderful time talking to you.
Yeah.
It's a privilege. You talked about the political turmoil over Ivory Coast, Cameroon, and Tanzania.
Yeah.
How the populations are reacting against the incumbents that continuously take power.
Yeah.
Which means that democracy is not something that is trustworthy again among the populations of Africa.
Yeah.
You see, the truth is that the Greek version of democracy that I've ever brought to Africa has not really ever worked. To me, I say it's a mirage, a smoke screen that they just use to manipulate the masses to think that they are accountable to who they give power to, so that he can take care of and be a custodian of the nations the European created and brought here for us. The truth is that if you look at the English-speaking part of Africa and the French-speaking part of Africa, their independence are very different. Okay, you just cited the case of Ivory Coast, that of Cameroon. These are two nations in Africa who cannot really be compared with Tanzania, because the English kind of gave some degree of independence to their colonies when they were living. The French did not.
Okay.
The French did not.
Yeah.
In most of the African, if you look at the history of the assassination of the leaders of Africa, most of them have come from the English-speaking, or rather from the French-speaking part of Africa. Yeah. Because before they got this thing they call independence, there is something they signed that was they got sparked for the continuation of colonization in Africa. Yeah. Some of the process of this part were that they had to use the franc CFA, which is a French currency regulated by the French treasury. 85% of their wealth or money that they got from the material they sold from the world market or sold by France had to be deposited in the French treasury. Wow. Okay. Only 50% was to be given for them to run their economies. And should they need more money for their economy, they had to borrow only up to 25% of the remaining 85% that was deposited in the French treasury. Wow. They had no right to get any other partner to mine their land, except the French were not interested to mine any newly discovered mineral. They had no control over their army. They did not have to advise. They had to use the French language compulsorily against the native languages. For instance, okay, let's say Cameroon had independence, and then they decided to adopt a language like Pali, like Douala, like a Wundu for the entire nation. What we are calling today the Anglophone crisis or cessation in Cameroon will never happen. And that's something the first president, Amadou Ahidjo, did not do. Okay? He could not do that because it was among the goal 11 clauses of the continuation of colonization. In essence, Cameroon never had independence like Ivory Coast. It will shock you to know that in the 21st century, in fact in 2025, Ivory Coast still rents her presidential palace from France on land. It's madness. It's not making sense, right? Yeah, it didn't make sense. It's not making sense. Ivory Coast is the world's most cocoa producer nation. Yeah. But Ivory Coast does not benefit directly from our cocoa because the price of cocoa is decided by the world market. Yeah. You understand? So the people of Ivory Coast have been have been bribed in their ignorance with this infrastructure that is going on. Their future is being sold because it is out of debt from the IMF that infrastructure is made.
Yeah.
But now they go around, they have infrastructure and all that. Africans, even though they are waking up to their realities, now the Constitution of Ivory Coast stated that the president had to be only 2 mandates in power, but was it around 2020 or 2020? Yes, 2020 or thereabout. Ouattara went again for the third mandate. And now he went for the fourth mandate. The people went to the streets. See, even though the Sahelian states of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are being criticized by the African Union, by ECOWAS, that these people are the juntas, that they are rascals, they are taking power. Whereas constitutional coup d'etats keep taking place in Africa, and the African Union is deaf to that. ECOWAS is deaf to that. SADC is deaf to that. CEMAC is deaf to that. The Maghreb region does not say anything about that. So there is a lot of political hypocrisy that the masses are tired of. And now people are beginning to be enlightened with this internet of a thing that has come to educate the masses. And people are beginning to take their destiny into their hands. And that is why you see they are turmoil in all these 3 African nations. Okay, I have said something about Ivory Coast. Let me go back to Cameroon, where I am talking to you right now. Okay. Now, Cameroon, the constitution of Cameroon is a little bit different from that of Ivory Coast because a lot of Africans do not understand why the headquarters of RASCOM, Africa's first telecommunication satellite, is found in the economic capital of Cameroon, known as Douala. Wow. Before this project was conceived in 1999 by the former Libyan guy, Muammar Gaddafi, who later transformed the Organization of African Unity to the African Union in 2001, that's 2001. They conceived the idea of an African satellite for telecommunication because before 2007, Africa was losing between 400 to 500 million US dollars to Europe only for telecommunication because they were using their satellite. Yeah. Now, Africans have to come together. Gaddafi alone gave 75% of that money. That is 300 million US dollars for that project. And now, Cameroon was chosen to be part, not even part, the headquarters for RASCOM, Africa's first telecommunication. And that is the reason why you and I can make this video very conveniently. That's why I can call you even for 20 minutes or 1 hour we talk USA. It stands to RASCOM. It is headquartered in Douala. Now, Africa's first Pan-African French-speaking media is found in Cameroon. It is known as Afrique Media. It is down to Afrique Media that our French brothers now really understand the game plan of what we call today France Afrique. Wow. These people open the eyes of French-speaking Africans in the Sahel state. It stands to Afrique Media that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger understood to the extent that the street person is volunteering to either become a vigilante member or integrated directly into the army to fight the terrorist groups sponsored by the West to destabilize these nations. Wow. It is not happening. It is found in Cameroon. Wow. Okay. We not only that, Gaddafi was keen because he wanted to establish 3 banks for Africa. Yeah. He wanted African community. He wanted that would have been run by a central bank located in Abuja, Nigeria. He wanted African Bank of Investment in Libya. That would have been in, I think he said. And then he wanted something to replace the the International Monetary Fund, named African Monetary Fund, which was supposed to be headquartered here in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Wow. When the Libyan guy was killed in 2000, that unfortunate attack in 2011, the president of Cameroon decided to continue that project. And as I am talking to you, so that project completed. Wow. The African Monetary Fund is what is supposed to get the entire continent of Africa never to go to the IMF to borrow money at exaggerated percentages that we are giving in terms of the rate which they are borrowing money in our own discovery, whereas West and the rest borrowed money at these interest rates.
Yeah.
Now, there is no French-speaking African country who really has a big economy. Why? You can never build an economy if you don't have your own money. Yet these people are still begging the France CFA. That is the reason why this project of the African Monetary Fund is the only vehicle that can successfully take, especially the CEMAC zone, like the Central African zone, out of the France CFA, so that they can build their economies. The truth remains that the poorest zone or the poorest region on the African continent is the Central African region. Paradoxically, it is the richest in terms of mineral resources.
Very true, very true, very, very true. And the most unstable region too.
Yes. So these are the works of the incumbent. So Cameroon, the Gaulle Accords that were signed before independence, that 1959, between the Gaulle and the first president of Cameroon, Amadou Ahidjo, got expired in 2019. So France was looking for a way to get another person in the game so that they can renew those accords for the France-Afrique transaction of economy to continue.
Okay.
But now the incumbents of Cameroon decided that Cameroon is one of the least mined African nations. Cameroon is very rich, but Cameroon has not been mined.
Yeah, because
in fact, when it comes to bauxite, Cameroon is even richer in bauxite than Zambia, that is considered the highest in the world. But Cameroon has concealed all those things just because we don't want to mine it.
Okay. Knowing the arrangements in play, we will not mine our own. When it expires, we can now mine later.
We cannot mine it. That is the wisdom behind it. We cannot mine it.
That's very strategic.
You cannot be mining your own resources and then you have only 0.05% of the royalties, while the rest go to the miners and your colonial masters. There you are not doing anything good to yourself. Yeah. Before, you see the seaport of Cameroon was controlled by Bolloré, a French company. But now all those things have come back to Cameroon. Imagine your seaport is controlled by your colonial master. You can never be an economy.
You cannot.
You understand? Now the incumbent has been in power for 43 years. Yes. And a lot of people have been brainwashed with this word dictatorship, longevity in power and stuff like that. To be very honest with you, I am not one of those who support his internal policies. I do not. But when it comes to geopolitics, he has done a lot of good to Cameroonians that probably they only realize when he is no more. You understand? Cameroonians are suffering from poverty. That is the truth. I cannot lie that to you. Cameroonians are suffering. There's a lot of suffering over here. But it was a kind of sacrifice for the future generation.
All right.
Yes. Now, those who I don't. First of all, as a Pan-Africanist, I don't believe in the one man, one vote, the thing of democracy. It has never worked and it's never going to work on the continent of Africa.
It has not worked anywhere.
Probably
it has not worked anywhere. No, it has not worked anywhere though.
It has not worked anywhere, and it is never going to work. And the most pathetic thing about this thing is that those who really promote this great version of democracy across the continent of Africa, the so-called educated, the white man kind of educated, the professors, the doctor, academic, don't. And we have naivety or this naive way of thinking in Africa that when somebody is branded with a master's degree, a PhD, a professor, and all that, whatsoever they say is supposed to be correct. Yes. So now the academic space in Cameroon are those who are pushing for the incumbent must go, he must do this and that, and maybe he has been there for long. He has not done a lot of things. But who are taking in to take the African fight forward? Most people do not understand that Cameroon on our own doesn't have a future like any other African nation. Take, for example, now they are talking about the US invasion in Nigeria because of the Boko Haram sect and the killing of Christians and all that. It is not about that. It has been about for 10 years. Where was the US? So now, the US is struggling to destabilize Cameroon using the sons of Cameroon who are the so-called intellectuals. so that they can have access to the riches of Cameroon. The US is struggling to do that. Using the opposition. How can somebody who is government for close to 30 years then resign after 2 weeks? He starts his own political party? No, the political party has been there. But suddenly arrives from nowhere and is gathering the whole population. They have been planning this thing.
Where do you get?
It is not even about the.
Where do you get the money?
The most not even about the people. It is because they want to let in the colonizer again.
And I'm happy you mentioned about this intellectual group championing this democracy in Africa. And,
I love that. Professor Lumumba said that the African politicians are the curse of Africa. I will beg to contradict him a little bit. The greatest curse of Africans are those who were Europeanized with this their system of education.
Like that, thank you. They're only fighting to be part of the system, but they didn't see the problem of the system. And
I'm telling you that, in my opinion, I've been to school. I understand some kind of things. I've been to school. But when I was studying this thing of Pan-Africanism, I started comparing the two. I discovered that the European system of education was made to enslave us and not to let us think.
Yeah.
That is it. The thing that the more you can express yourself in good English, the more you become like a British man. In Cameroon, there is a problem that started in 2016 rather. It is the Anglophone problem and a Francophone problem. But which is not true. The Africans, before the Europeans brought this nonsense to us.
We didn't have problems. We didn't have problems.
1819, somebody stood in Paris, took a line and took a ruler and drew a line on the Cameroon map, and tribes were divided into two. Families were divided. And they decided that these ones are the Anglophones, which means that they still pay allegiance to the British crown, not even to the Cameroonian crown, to the British crown. These are Anglophones, which means that they have been assimilated in the French society. That is why you see our intellectuals today, if you don't speak good French, they think that you don't know anything. If you don't speak very good English, you don't know anything. Okay, if you don't speak like a white man, behave like a white man, you are not. But that is nonsense, and that's what's killing our society.
Very good. That's true. Western education, one of the most dangerous things that ever happened to Africa. Look, we are the most corrupt people. We are the people who believe in the Western systems. And we are who promote those colonial systems. It's like majority of the people who are educated in the front line with their fight for independence, like they were just fighting to be part of the system. They didn't never see anything wrong with the system. How can somebody colonize with the system, but you didn't see anything wrong with it? Just because you're replacing the white man with yourself. Now working with the white man, achieving the objective for him, and they see like a freedom or they see it as a democracy. Sometimes we those outsiders, to be honest, until last time I spoke to you about what was happening in Cameroon, all of us thought that, Paul Biya is a problem. But after listening to you and I put my ears on the ground, analyzing the opposition, cause and action, and I realized that the guy is just a puppet. So you are fighting for, you are Pan-African fighting against Paul Biya, who is a Western puppet in the eyes of we ordinary Africans who are not close. Now you are the one saying that you are calling for international community to come and help you. What's the international community? I'm asking myself, who is that international community you are calling? If you are a puppet, Paul Biya is a puppet to the same West, and you are calling the same West to come and help you to be in power. So I was like, it's not making sense to me. Whether
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
So I know that there's a problem. There's a problem. What are the arrangements that will come before they help you to be in power? So I realized that no, we have been brainwashed about this whole Paul Biya. I think Paul Biya is a Pan-African more than what about here an African outside Cameroon. I think so.
Paul Biya is a Pan-African who does not talk. He acts instead. And that's where the problem That's where the problem is. Now, the problem is that because he does not talk, most Pan-Africans do not understand him. That is the point. Africanists don't understand him. Is like he's been in power for long. But now, when the Queen Elizabeth was in power for 70 years, to most Africa, it's not a problem.
We don't even see problem. Just go to Ouattara. Ouattara came with the promise of one term. There was a project of France. They brought him. Now he's going to fourth term. Who's talking? It's about interest. How did Ouattara even go to power? Ouattara walked on blood to the palace.
Who helped him to do that?
France.
We watched the video. He was captured with a singlet in his palace. That was the first we realized that there was a tunnel from the French embassy leading directly to the presidential palace of Ivory Coast. How is that not?
The foreigner come to remove your country in that kind of manner, disrespectful manner, and Africans were so happy. I remember Africans were jubilating that Gaddafi was killed that day.
Africans did not understand.
It's just interesting. I'm so happy talking to you all the time. But let's come to even Brother Angela have problem on this Pan-Africanism now. I've been saying this on platforms, and I think Pan-Africanism has lost its championing for these same colonial systems. And I like, sometimes I ask myself, what is Pan-African? I was asking somebody last, what is Pan-Africanism? Because I'm not getting it. But is it Pan-Africanism fighting for this democracy, new colonial democracy is not working?
When you meet somebody, I'm sorry to cut you, but you come back to that. When you meet anybody who brands themselves to be a Pan-Africanist, who does not emphasize on the unity of Africa, they don't understand what they are talking about. The thing is this. Africans are reluctant about the unity of Africa because they want to be presidents. Titles are their problems.
Yes.
That's the first thing. They want titles.
When president of my country.
You get it?
Yeah.
Now, do you know that there is a program, people are struggling to balkanize Congo into 5 more countries? They are struggling to balkanize Nigeria into 2 or 3 more countries.
Three. I know 3.
Do you know that Cameroon is not that turmoil today? And those the so-called leaders who were vying for segregation found safe havens in Europe and the USA, who are sponsoring the weapons that they are using in the war. These people, the Europeans, the most pathetic thing with all the black people or African people is that the Caucasians work as a family. USA and Europe are the same people. Let nobody deceive you.
Yeah, they work as a unit.
Agenda.
They have common interest.
But when you come to Africa, Nigeria will begin that they have oil, so they don't need any other African country. They are swimming in poverty, even though in the midst of riches. Cameroon is a wonderful country. We don't need it's a country. They will look somebody from Central Africa and call them a foreigner. That no is their problem over there. So the problem is mental. We have been so destroyed mentally that we don't even understand what is happening. There is some country. I will bet anybody who is watching this video 10, 15, 20 years ahead to write. There is no African country that will go anywhere if we don't go collectively.
Yeah.
Because these people did it on the Berlin conference. What they did is they deliberately broke us down in order to always leave us subjugated. There is a plan in the Caucasian that sub-Saharan Africa to never develop. Why do you think America is going to attack Nigeria? Do you think it's about killing the Christians? I have told this the second time. That idea has been, they have been killing people in the northeastern part of Nigeria for close to 10 years now. That's why President Goodluck Jonathan was taken out of power. Because to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Before they brought in this other man that is ruling now. Who is that power?
Let me take on Tanzania issues. Tanzania is the recent one. You see, Pan-African shouting, this one is a dictator. America should come and intervene. And I said, my goodness. And what is the story? So many that I don't agree with Simon, to be honest. It is not my favorite one. The privatization of their port, railway lines, the carbon issue, the land massacring Maasai people, and their gas contract doses. I disagree with her because of that. It is not my favorite. But when she came, she tried to be a reformer, trying to please the West because Magufuli was a hardliner against the West. But she tried to be a reformer. One of the areas I didn't like it. But she opened up the country, allowed the guys to come into contact. In fact, the guy was campaigning. For 2 years, the guy opposition was campaigning. People didn't know. Opposition was campaigning, had been campaigning for 2 years. But when the electoral commission brought the guidelines, like the code of conduct that everybody must sign, these are the rules of the game, in order not to inflame our country. All the other people signed, but the opposition said they will not sign. And the reason was that they wanted reforms in the electoral process of Tanzania, which is fair to me. I didn't see any problem with it. But how do you go about it? At that time, you're supposed to go find a way of protest or go to court to challenge that for those reforms. knowing your constitution that you can, that time you can go back after election, you cannot challenge the elections in court. You have the chance to go to court and challenge the process before the election. But after election, you cannot go to court. But they kept quiet for the elections, and they will still for reform. There's not reforms to, there will not be elections in Tanzania. Such an arrogant position, because they have to Western back financing and those things. Every organization, every event have rules of the game. If you are not ready, if you are not ready, don't contest or seek for reform in a very peaceful way. But you are not thinking that I will not sign any reform. If they do the reform today, there will not be election. Even also in Kenya, Pan-Africans in Kenya, some of the freedom fighters in Kenya saying that there will not be election in Tanzania. I said, who are you not to say there will not be? You are taking the country to ransom because you want to become president, but you are not ready to pay, follow the rules. And this is what we have seen. They waited for the election day, they organized young guys to go and disrupt elections. I had a friend who was part of the election official. Look, they have again to go to polling station to disrupt the elections. And I'm asking myself, so this is pure indiscipline, and this is democracy means discipline. The person who caused this disruption, hold the country to ransom, create chaos, young people die for his selfish interest, is now working as an activist, a freedom fighter. People are celebrating him. Especially Pan-Afrikan, that's the most surprising thing for me. Now, the innocent woman who signed the code of conduct to go for her election, whatever the situation, now we put the blame on her. As if she's the one who caused this protest young people to die. I was asking people, young people, there's 1,000 of them died, or 1,000. These opposition politicians, how many of their children are inside the children who died? The children are abroad schooling, enjoying, then their father using some people, innocent children to die for, to get their name for themselves. Freedom fighters, they are democrat. What is democracy?
My brother, you see, on that dreaded March 17, 2021, when Magufuli died, I cried. I've never met that man in person, but I cried. To start with, the truth is that democracy is one of the most dangerous weapons the European brought in. You understand? It is this facet that blinds us to the realities of what we need as a people. Blinds us. And when they brought multi-partyism, it was just to use the opposition to get rid of a leader who wants the good of their people.
Exactly.
And unfortunately for us, the African intellectual is very ready to play that part.
Yeah, they misled us.
Exactly. And with the advent of the internet, and watching the young people is very, very